hosting and domain names at ozsome.com. Wednesday weather forecast, partly to mostly sunny today. Temperatures on the chilly side, upper 20s and low 30s. Northeast wind 10 to 15. 15 to 20 overnight, partly to mostly clear with light winds. It'll be around freezing, 31-32 Thursday, partly to mostly sunny. And Friday, partly to mostly sunny, about 35 to 40. Educate, entertain, and empower. We're KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Catherine Drew. The Red Cross Medical Charity says evacuations of seriously ill children have begun from rebel-held areas of Syria's capital, Damascus. 130 children in the area under government siege need urgent medical treatment. Vote counting is underway in Liberia in a runoff presidential election between Vice President Joseph Boakai and former international footballer George Weah. And Australian police are looking for the owner of a small crocodile found wandering in Melbourne a long way from water.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. Today is Wednesday, December 27th, 2017, and welcome to day 2 of Kwanzaa. The principle today is Kujichagulia. I'll say that without stumbling. All right, and so that means self-determination. And I have some very special guests in the studio with me today, and they're going to give their definition of what self-determination means and tell you how they have exemplified that, with their students and their careers and their everyday lives. So without further ado, I want to introduce, most of you already know these people anyway, Dr. Jeff Flanagan. He's a regular here with our Wednesday morning Bible study. Good morning, Dr. Flanagan.
Good morning.
We have Mrs. Carla Lee. She is a teacher, and I'm going to pull up her bio in a little bit. And we have Mrs. Shalyn Tate. Good morning.
Good morning.
Alrighty, so we thank you all so much first of all, thank you for accepting my invitation to do the show. So tell us a little bit about Ms. Carla's. While I'm pulling up Carla's, Dr. Jeff, can you please give us a little intro of yourself?
Well, I am the principal of the STEM Academy at Jonesboro High School, and I'm also the pastor of the Carter Temple CME Church in Blytheville, Arkansas. I'm married to Corleen Flanagan. She's the assistant principal at the Health and Wellness Environmental Studies Magnet School in Jonesboro School District, and we have 6 children: Tia, Emira, Jaden, Jordan, Elise, and Jackson.
Oh wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. Alright, so Ms. Carla, she is currently a 6th grade math teacher, for the Jonesboro Public School District. You lived in Jonesboro for 21 years. She's married to Ricky Lee, proud mother of 2 sons, Jordan and Braylon, which I've had the pleasure of meeting. They're wonderful young men.
Thank you.
One of her greatest pleasures is reading and learning new and challenging things. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree in middle level education, math and science. You have a Master of Science degree in reading and recently earned a Specialist of Education degree in Educational Leadership and Administration with an emphasis in principalship at Arkansas State University. So are you going to be moving out of the classroom one day?
That's in my future. Yes. Yes.
All right. And you will be pursuing your doctoral degree soon, yeah?
Ooh.
Get ready.
Get ready.
All right. It is Carla's personal mission to provide the best educational experience for all students. She believes that all students can learn, but each has unique journeys in their quest to do so. One of her goals is to challenge, empower, and build strong leaders who are critical thinkers, problem solvers, and lovers of mathematics. Yes, ma'am. Her ultimate desire in education is to close the persistent achievement gaps, improve students' attitudes about school, and build habits that can change a student's life trajectory. Yes, ma'am. And based on the videos that some of the videos you show your class, they love you. They love your teaching style, and it's obvious that they're learning something.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us a little more about what it's like being in the classroom and the students that you encounter.
Being in the classroom, the students I encounter, it's different every day. Something is new. It could be a bit challenging when you are dealing with 27, 28 different personalities and, you want to reach every child. So you have to learn to adapt to their learning styles. And then you have to realize that children like us come with baggage as well. And so you have to put yourself in a position to not only teach the child a subject, but to teach the child life in general. Yeah, so we want to focus, I like to focus on teaching the whole child.
And that's going to tie right into what we're going to be talking about today, self-determination, because you have to look beyond what society tries to tell you who you are or
Absolutely.
What you're going to become, and push forward and do your own thing.
Yes,
Mark your own path. All right, Miss Shalyn. So tell us more about yourself.
Well, my name is Shalyn Tate. I am the assistant principal at Jonesboro Math and Science School. This is my first year. I am married to James Tate. We have 3 beautiful daughters. We have Diamond, Emmy, and DJ.
Okay.
They all attend Jonesboro Public Schools, and Diamond is in college. And then I have a lovely godson. They just returned back to college yesterday. They plays basketball for Lehigh in Philadelphia. I've been in Jonesboro Public School system my entire teaching career, which I will be completing my 18th year. It has been a journey. I have truly enjoyed the journey thus far. I love kids. I have always loved kids. So this right here, and being able to reach more than just my classroom and venturing out into a whole entire school has been a challenge, but has been well worth it. A great first semester, I must say.
Alrighty, so let's jump right into our discussion. I want to first give people a definition of what this principle means. And again, I'm trying to say it without stumbling again. It is Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Now, going back to just a little bit of the history of what Kwanzaa means, it was started back in 1966, and it was created for the African American culture, people to find a connection or reconnect with their culture and to find some positivity in the negativeness that was going on in the world at the time. And so then since then it has been adopted and practiced all over the world. Even though it was created for us, anyone from any ethnic background can actually practice these principles because they are geared towards family and community, connecting with each other on a different level, on a deeper level. Okay, so let's get into a starter question. What are some ways that you have defined yourself when faced with others' opinions of how they think you should act, look, speak? Anybody want to start?
Okay, well, I'll start off
Okay.
first. Personally, I don't worry about what others think, the way they perceive me. Shalyn is going to be Shalyn, regardless of what anybody say. And what's so funny was that you even asked that question. When I see different people, that's what they say, Shalyn, you are the same no matter what. Because I can't fake in front of somebody just so that I can have the job or just to do my job. I'm going to keep it real with my teachers. I'm keeping it real with my kids. I'm keeping it real with everybody. And I believe that's one aspect of me where I have been able to move up and do, because I'm going to keep it real, regardless whether you like it or not.
All right, and it's proof positive that your children, every child that you have ever encountered, even ones that were not either in your classroom or even at your school, they know you and they love and respect you. So thank you so much for that. All right, so Ms. Carla.
I would say unbothered. You know, that's the term of the millennial right now, but it's true. Unbothered and focused. I've just learned that it's important to have self-confidence and to know who you are on the front end, because if you don't, you run the risk of allowing others to define you. Everybody's going to have an opinion of what you should say, what you should do, how you should think, how you should talk, all of that. But it's important for you to know who you are. In today's society, it's really easy to just be a chameleon. A lot of people don't understand that, you're blending in with any environment that you're in. And sometimes that's not beneficial to you, because when you're out of that environment, it's hard for you to change back. You're confused as to where, what you should do, what you should be. So I would just say, unbothered, focus on who you are, who God ordained you to be, and do that well.
I am studying sociology, and in one of my classes on gender, we learned about intersectionality, and that's where your different characteristics that make up you meet at a central location. And so what I learned in that class is that a lot of people have been justifiably disenfranchised based on what makes them up, their gender, race, religion, education level. So with you all, and not to disregard you, Dr. Flynn, I'm going to get to you.
No problem.
But being Black women in today's society, we're kind of the lower end of the totem pole when it comes to a lot of advancement opportunities, because some people in society want to try to use that against you. So have you had to face any of that discrimination, disenfranchisement, because you are a Black woman in today's society?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying, not just here, but anywhere that you go. And, when you look at, okay, I don't want to toot my own horn because I don't do that. But, when you see someone who you deem as put together or well put together, an African-American woman who carries herself with poise and with grace, and, and they're beautiful, quote unquote, it's hard for other people. And if you don't, people who have issues or they're uncomfortable with who they are, they will make you carry their issue, and that's not fair. So you just have to know who you are and walk in that, and just, hey, it's not my problem, that's your problem.
All right, thank you. All right, so Dr. Flanagan, we don't want to leave you out on answering this question. What are some ways that you have defined yourself when faced with other people's opinions?
Well, I think, again, just, echoing what they both said, you have to be true to who you are. And for me, being true to whose I am.
Right.
One of the things that I always tell people is that I'm Reverend Flanagan before I'm Dr. Flanagan. And Reverend Flanagan and Dr. Flanagan fight all the time. But as long as Reverend Flanagan wins, then I'm good. So ultimately, when you look in that mirror and it's just you in the mirror and God, you have to be able to stare yourself in the face in front of God. So that requires you being able to justify everything that you've done in that particular moment, in that particular day. And if I can do that every night, then everyone else's opinion is just that. It's their opinion. So, being married to a professional African-American female, we often talk about, the dichotomy of life as it relates to male and female. And having daughters and sons. I have 3 daughters and 3 sons, and having to talk to them about the unfairness of the world. I tell them, I always told my athletes and coaching, the fair, it comes once a year, somewhere around September, October, get you a funnel cakes and cotton candy, and then get that out of your vocabulary, because life is never going to be fair. And if you continue to wait on that to happen, you're going to be continually disappointed. The facts are that it is much more difficult in the world for the Shallon Tates and the Carla Lees and Corleen Flanagans and the Kabila Hardens, who are trying to make it, because you are held to different standards.
That's true.
And expectations. And that's a part of life, and that's why you have to have self-determination. And that was a part of the reason why the entire Kwanzaa movement came about.
Okay. All right, I want to give a few shout outs to, I want to thank everybody who is watching. I can't see every single person. Aisha Stafford, Keisha Higgins, Miss Marsha Phillips, and Takita Willis Jackson. Keisha says, good morning. Proud to know these two ladies. They are two of the most outstanding and dedicated educators in the land. Well, thank you, Keisha.
Oh, thanks, Keisha.
They are pretty awesome teachers. I'm pleased that I have gotten to know you all since the 90s. We'll leave it at that. Since the 90s. And you all are excellent women, pillars of the community, and you walk and talk what you believe. You try to pass it on to every child that you come in contact with, and not just children, but any adults that you come in contact with as well, but you work with children most of your day.
Thank you.
All right, so the next question, what have been some of the challenges you have faced to get to this point in your careers? We'll start with Dr. Flanagan.
Well, you know, I wanted to be a college basketball coach, and that was my lifelong goal from as long as I could remember.
Okay.
And my mother, when I was probably about 5, she drilled into me a term that's called terminal education, which means, you know, you get the highest level of education in whatever it is you want to do. You know, so if you want to do hair, then you be able to do weaves and straight hair and you know, all ethnicities. You be able to do any hair that's out there, whatever it is. You want to be a plumber, you be able to plumb, you know, an outhouse or a college campus. You be able to do whatever, get a terminal education. And so I wanted to be a college basketball coach. God blessed me and made that happen. And then fatherhood came, and I lost my father when I was 10, and so I understood the importance of being a father. And being a college basketball coach is a very demanding field. 6 out of 7 days of the week you're on the road. And I married the first time extremely young, and my sons were about 2, and I realized this wasn't going to work, and I had a choice. You know, I was going to be a great father. I was going to be a great college coach. I was coaching at UALR at the time, and I chose being a dad. And so literally the same day that it was official that I was leaving UALR and going to coach in the Little Rock School District, my mother makes this phone call, and she said, hey son, congratulations, proud of you, terminal education, mama loves you. Click, hung up the phone. I was like, ah. So I had to go back to school. And so the challenge that I would say the biggest for me was, as I was coaching and pursuing a doctorate, I would get those people that would ask the condescending question of, you know, why are you trying to get a doctorate and you coaching? And insinuating that as an athlete or as a coach, you could not also be academically inclined. And that was, you know, that was a hurdle. But my mama, she just was unrelenting in that fact. So that's my story.
We need a lot more moms like that. And I can speak a little bit on Carl. I know more people know you better, but just looking at your sons and how you push them. But you didn't. It seems like you didn't have to do a lot of nudging. They have watched you and your husband and how you all have conducted your lives, and so they chose to say, okay, I want to do more, do better, make the grades I need to make to get the scholarship. Your oldest son, is his whole education is paid for based on his grades and scholarships and things that he's earned? He earned that. No one gave that to him. He earned that.
Absolutely.
Because he decided at an early age, I'm going to take the steps necessary to lay this path out for me, make it easier on my parents, make it easier on myself. He's going to still face challenges in this world, but education-wise, financial-wise, that's taken care of.
Absolutely.
We have one shout out from Miss Susan, Elder Susan Rogers, before we get to you. Self-determination is Carla Lee's middle name. She lives it, she preaches it, she inspires it. Well, thank you, Susan.
Thank you, First Lady.
Okay, well, with that being said, what are some challenges that you have faced to get to this point?
Girl, when I saw this question or heard this question, I thought, oh, okay. You mentioned some things with Jordan and just his walk and Braylon's walk, and so they saw that if you really know me, then you know my whole story.
Okay.
but a lot of people don't, and so I briefly would share it. I have always felt the need to instill in my children that life doesn't owe you anything. And I even tell, my students that daily. No one owes you anything in this world. For us, and it's sad, but just because of the color of our skin, we just have to fight a little harder for, the things that we acquire. And so for me, my children actually saw, everything that their dad and I went through. I was actually a college dropout. The first time I came to school here in the fall of 1994. Okay. And so from 1994 to 1997, I just had it wasn't rocking the beginning, but by 97, I basically had just flunked out of school. That's the term. And so, with Dr. Flanagan, that whole thing about the terminal education, that seed was always there, but I didn't water it in the manner in which I should. And so fast forward years after that, when I had children, I knew that I had to be their first example, because we were. And so for me, their father graduated from college and had a degree and all of that, and it was like mom was just mom. I worked, I did things, but that wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me in front of my children. Okay. And so I made a decision to go back to school, and I went back to school with a vengeance. Okay. I decided, I messed up all of these years, so I've got to just catapult myself forward. And so that's what I did, and degree after degree after degree. And so my kids saw that.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to let Ms. Shallon answer that question. So I want to thank everybody for listening, but don't go anywhere. Stay where you are, and we'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Do you have a dream? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Today we remember the dreams of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a man of ministry, peace, and vision. He dreamed of equality between all races. In 1963, Dr. King said, "I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." What's your dream for your kids? Is it your dream or theirs? Is it what's best for them or just what you want? Remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Twitter? Follow him at twitter.com/Mark Merrill. The Family Minute with Mark Merrill, helping families love well.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We are speaking with Dr. Jeff Flanagan, Mrs. Carla Lee, and Mrs. Shallon Tate. They are from the Jonesboro Public School District, from various schools around town, and we have been talking about Kwanzaa principle number 2, which is Kujichagulia, self-determination. And I don't know about y'all, but I am just totally engrossed in this conversation right now. They are really spitting some knowledge and sharing a lot of themselves, and I hope that everyone is being inspired to find something within yourself and determine who you are for yourself, and not let society tell you who you are or who you should be. Before we went to break, Ms. Carla had just finished up answering a question, so now we're going to allow Ms. Shallon to answer the question. And the question is, what have been some of the challenges you have faced to get to this point in your career?
Well, of course, like Dr. Flanagan and Carla stated, the challenge of us being African American is going to foremost be the first challenge that we all face. But however, not letting that be a challenge, moving forward, letting them know, regardless of what the color of my skin, I'm going for what I believe. Us as being women and being strong women, and we're going to speak our mind. I'm going to let you know how I feel. If that's how I feel, and I'm not going back on it, that's how the cow ate the cabbage, that's it. So that has to be one of my biggest challenges, is just being that strong, self-determined woman.
Okay.
Because regardless of what you think, I'm going to do what I need to do to be successful. And some people look at us being strong as they're afraid of that. And it's nothing that we're directing towards anybody. That's just who we are. And that's how it's going to be. And it's no disrespect to anyone. But I want everyone to understand that just because we're black, just because we're educated, just because we carry ourselves, don't be intimidated by that, by no means. Do not be intimidated. We are not intimidating people at all. So that has to be the biggest challenge.
And you have a right to be where you are. Women in society is telling you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get more education, be more successful, be more self-sufficient, and be more XYZ. And then when you strive to be more XYZ, then someone who is afraid, like someone mentioned before, who's afraid of who you are and what you're becoming, then they try to find a way to push you backwards. When one minute they want you to move forward, but the next minute they want to push you backwards. And again, this is not directed at any one person or group of people. It's just there are people from all ethnic backgrounds that they fear the unknown, they fear what you're becoming, and so then they try to find a way to shut you down.
So one of the things that I hear you say, and I want to touch on, is that all isms, sexism, racism, terrorism, all isms in that regard are based in fear, and being scared of something that you're not totally aware of or understanding of. But you mentioned the bootstrap mentality. Well, the bootstrap mentality in and of itself is presumptive, and it presumes that you have boots.
Okay.
So to be able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps requires having boots. Unfortunately, there are people in this world who don't have boots. So until we put them in a position to understand that you can go out there and quote unquote pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but you first have to get them some boots.
Okay.
And so a lot of the students that we deal with on a regular basis have no boots to even try to pull themselves up by the proverbial bootstraps. And that is one of the challenges that we face. And that's not necessarily specific or germane to any race. I mean, there are black kids in that situation, white students in that situation, Hispanic students in that situation, and any of the other ethnicities that we deal with. So, there's a lot of self-determination that's required to get to the places that God has blessed all of us to get to in our careers. But when you start hearing people tell you that, you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then it's presuming that you started from a certain place.
Yes.
And so if we're running a race and I'm as fast as you are, but I give you a 50-yard head start and it's a 100-yard race, you're going to win. So we're dealing with that situation right now. I mean, we still live in a world where we're 4 days away from 2018 and women still make less money for the same job with the same qualifications and the same experience. Then so we got to understand, we got to start figuring out how to put boots on these people before they can start pulling themselves up by their bootstraps.
Amen. I like to read a lot of different quotes. I know it may seem cliche sometimes, but some of these quotes are still around for a reason, because they have a meaning to someone and they maybe have helped a lot of people along the way. One that I found is, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.
Yes.
That resonates with me because, like Carla, I started school in 95, and my mindset wasn't where it needed to be successful in school at that time. I ended up getting pregnant, getting kicked out because of grades. I tried to go back in 03 to 05, still wasn't quite mature mentally enough to deal with what was going on. Here I am in my 40s, back in school, trying to finish my 1 degree. If I had let society or people tell me you're too old, you can't do, why are you trying to get a degree now? Just go on with your life. I wouldn't be where I am. I was blessed with the honor of winning Volunteer of the Year for the city of Jonesboro. And if I hadn't pushed through, okay, I also have a condition that causes some physical, I don't want to say deformities. It's very noticeable. And oftentimes I want to shy away from society. People tell me, you don't socialize. Well, because I at times let what I think and what I let other people tell me get in my head, and I've internalized it. But if I hadn't chose to push through all of that negativity, I wouldn't be where I am today. I never saw myself doing radio. Like, I'm that social worker, the community activist kind of person, but I still like to be behind the shadow, be in the shadows behind the scenes, but life is taking me a different direction, and I'm just gonna embrace it.
So can I say this to you?
Okay.
My mother is a licensed social worker. She has a master's in social work. My mother, who drilled into me terminal education, she got her bachelor's degree when I was a sophomore in high school, and she got her master's in social work from the George Washington Brown School of Social Work in St. Louis at Washington University my senior year in high school. Because of what you said, she could not continue to tell me about terminal education, and she didn't have one.
That's right.
She knew she was raising a boy that would check that. There would be a point where I would have gotten grown enough to be like, wait a minute, what about you? And so she did that, so that then I would take that excuse off the table. You know, so you're still ahead of where she is and where she was. You know, so it doesn't matter when you finish. They don't ask you that. And I've never been asked when. It's just that you do it. So if that's what you want to do, keep going, sister. You'll be all right.
And like Carla also mentioned, you want to be that example for your children. I have a son, and I wanted to show him that I was capable of doing something more than just being either a stay-at-home mom or working a low-wage job for the rest of my life, just really scraping, trying to get by. Hopefully I have instilled something in him. It hasn't quite come to fruition yet, but hopefully he'll spark his life up.
It's there. Trust me, it's there. He sees you. He sees it. He may not say it, but trust me, they're looking.
Sure.
And not just him. You inspire a lot of people, you know? So you just go forward. You can do it. Take it from me. I was working full time, close to being 40. The last degree we finished in 2015. Okay. So working a full-time job, being a full-time wife, a full-time mother. So you can do it. I'm proof.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a couple more Facebook shout-outs to Mr. Roy Davis. Love to see my beautiful black people uplifting and helping each other. Thank you, Mr. Roy. Shout-out to Gerard for tuning in. And Aisha Stafford says, 3 amazing educators who have helped not only my children, but me also in so many ways. Dr. Flanagan came into my son's life at a very crucial time, and in many ways saved him. I love the moms to pieces. Thank you, Chanel, for tuning in. And Takita says, good morning to the panel. I am truly enjoying this conversation this morning. My sorors are role models in a multitude of ways to women of all ages. Dr. Flanagan, a great man of God, is inspiring the lives of many young men as well. Our community of education is blessed to have each of you. Bravo. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate that. I'll pay y'all later on. Good
and
stuff.
Takita's one of my classmates, so shout out to you. Okay, we also have another comment from Adrian Everett. Reading your story on the A-State Online site was amazing, Quabila. Keep the great community conversations. I enjoyed watching as many as I can. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Adrian. I was blessed and honored to have a student profile posted on Arkansas State University's website. When they sent me an email saying they wanted to do the profile, I was like, wow, okay, me? Again, if I hadn't pushed through some of my insecurities and allowed people to tell me what I can and can't do, again, I wouldn't be here. So I am very humbled and honored for any recognition that I get. I also write a blog for the online students based on my online student experience for Arkansas State. So I'm trying. Trying to make a mark in this world. Okay. So moving on to the next question. And you all probably touched on this, but how do you translate what you have learned to the individuals and students you encounter?
For me, I tell my own children as well as my students, there are two of the most important days in your life, in your lifespan. The day that you were born, and then the day that you find out why you were born. And so, of course, that's purpose, finding out what your purpose is and just going for it and just doing that. I always try to instill in them also that it's important to self-reflect. Always challenge yourself to be better, because you are your only competition. You're not in competition with anyone about anything. You are your competition. Every day that you are graced to wake up another day, you look yourself in the mirror and say, how can I be better than I was yesterday? What did I do yesterday? How can I make it better today? And if you live a life continuously doing that, you really will make your mark in this world. You will impact more people with being self-reflective than you would doing anything else.
Amazing. Thank you for that. All right, Ms. Allen.
I gotta say, with my students, of course, I allow them, to look at me. But what they'll tell you about it, Miss Tay gonna keep it real.
Okay.
I'm not sugarcoating anything. Nothing. And when they come in my office, and it's so funny, I was at Walmart yesterday doing some after Christmas shopping, and just ran into one of my students, and they gave me a big hug and was like, Miss Tay, you just don't know how much I miss talking to you, because you just laid it out there for me. Because it's life. There's no need to sugarcoat it. That is life. That's how my mama laid it out for me, and I think she did a darn good job. So that's how I'm laying it out for my students, whether it's a black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Keeping it real and letting them know exactly how life is. Instilling that first, you're gonna have to develop that self-respect for yourself, because it starts with that. You gotta respect yourself before anyone respect you. Drive into that determination, and you got it. And it seems to be working. Some students are harder than others. I need some extra help, but it is. It has been a successful journey.
All right, we have another shout out from Mr. Jonathan J. Kagans. Good morning. I can say I watched Carla go to college, go from college dropout to where she is now, working full-time student, full-time wife, and very active in her local church. It didn't look easy, but she did it. Also, thank you, Doctor, for being an example in the school system. You're much needed. You're all pushing me to go to the next level of my job. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jay. Go for it.
And then Miss Linda. Hey, Miss Linda. She says, love them both. And thank you, Cameron Ross, for also checking in. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate everyone for watching. We thank everyone for supporting Kelly K. Self-determination, Leganzi exemplifies it every day. This is the first black radio station in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and if he had listened to other people say what you can't do that, he would have given up, a long time ago.
He's an alpha. We don't know about you.
All right. So he has pushed through, and even to this day, there are some people, because it's not their vision and they can't see where it's going. Some people still have things to say, but you know what? God is the final say. So that's all that matters.
That's right.
All right, so getting into our last question, last talking point, how important is it to live a life free of the labels that society would try to adorn you with? And how do you tell your children this, that you encounter at school? And how do you, when you see another person, a friend, colleague, it seems like they're letting society weigh them down, how do you let them know how important it is to live a life free of labels?
I think, again, for me, it's very simple. If you meet me, you better meet Jesus.
Okay.
And I say that not to say that I am Jesus, but as Christians, it is our duty to be Christ-like and make that effort. And so they should see something in us that separates us. You know, we have to be a cut above in what we represent. So whatever you label me is inconsequential as long as you're labeling me a child of God.
Okay.
And that's on me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's on me to present that. It's not about, God is not going to ask me, you know, why that girl talk crazy to me. What's going to happen is he's going to want to know why I responded the way I did, if it was in a way that would not be, you know, acceptable to him. So whatever you label me, I mean, you know, bless you. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
All right.
Society is fickle, you know, and it's always changing, and labels limit.
Okay.
When you allow people to put certain labels on you, it limits you to what they think you should do, or, you know, what they think you should say, how they think you should act. So you have to be free of that, because if you're not, you become a slave to that. You are a slave to the thoughts of other people, and that's a breeding ground for miserable, broken people. So you just have to break free of labels. You have to know who you are, and you have to determine within yourself, you're not going to allow anyone to define you. Okay. What God defines you as, that's what you walk as. It's simple.
I used to I still listen to this song, I Am What You See. I can't think of the artist at the very moment, but that song has really touched me in a way. It came out at a time when I really needed it, because I was going through, who am I? Mm-hmm. And when that song came out, and it really just penetrated my spirit, like, okay, God, I am going to be what you say. I am what you see. God sees us in a certain way. I need to start seeing myself in that same way that God sees me. I mean, he created me, so
absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yes.
I need to start seeing that and walking and talking in that way.
Absolutely. It's an insult to God when you don't do that.
Oh,
I mean, he created you, so in essence, if you don't walk in who he's created you to be, you tell him, God, you didn't do that well enough. And so that's a direct slap in his face. So you walk in your purpose, and you walk in who he called you to be, throw the labels off.
Okay.
And if you don't feel attacked in your life, you're probably playing for the wrong team.
Absolutely.
So the attacks are
good, Dr. Flanagan.
It's true. The attacks are representative of the team that you're on. So if you're not being attacked, then that means that you know you're not a threat.
Check yourself.
Right.
All righty, Miss Shallon.
And that is so true that Dr. Flanagan said it, because I tell my girls, at school, well, she talking about me. She said this. I said, well, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
That's good. Exactly. So, you know, I don't mistake so-and-so. I get on to somebody. They don't like you. I said, that's good. That's taking her job.
All right, so with that, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our discussion and allow each panel member to share any final thoughts, words of advice or encouragement. So you're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, and we'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. For better or for worse, your credit score is one of the most important numbers in your life. The Money Coach, Lynette Calfani-Cox, shares 3 often overlooked ways to boost your credit score. If you are a renter, add your rental payment history to your credit reports. This can give a nice bump to your credit score. Try piggybacking, a technique where you get added onto the credit accounts of someone with a positive credit history. For example, if your spouse or a parent has good credit, you can get added as an authorized user on 1 or 2 of their credit cards. Get a secured credit card. With the secured card, you put a certain amount of money, like $500, on deposit with a bank, credit union, or other lender. The amount you put up becomes your credit limit. Then, if you charge on the card, you just pay it off on time each month, and that will boost your credit score. Just make sure that any secured card you open reports to all 3 major credit bureaus. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I don't know about you all, but I feel more inspired. I want to thank everybody, Dr. Flanagan, Ms. Carla, Ms. Shallon, for joining us, for accepting my invitation, for sharing their knowledge and wisdom with you all. I'm learning so much from you all, and thank you so much for being so open and candid about your experiences and the wisdom you have to share. So thank you. I can't say thank you enough for the information that you have shared today. Another shout out from Ms. Takita. I'm very proud of you, Quabila, for pushing through your personal challenges. Your light is shining, and the fruit of your labor is evident in your work. Congratulations. Thank you. I hope that I can be more of an inspiration to everyone that I encounter. I'm just trying to make it my mission going into the new year to be more of a mentor, advocate, be more of a voice for people that feel like they don't have a voice. I love community service work. I love what I do. Some people look down on liberal arts degrees, but the society needs people like us that want to learn and work with the people to help them reach the resources, connect with the resources they need to get to wherever they need to be in life. So people can say what they want. I love my liberal arts degree. All right, so any final thoughts, words of advice, words of encouragement? Oh.
Preacher?
Ladies
okay.
first. Ladies first.
Oh, well, what I would like to say is, if there's anyone out there struggling with, where they want to go in life, what's the next step, keep going. Mm-hmm. It will happen. Find that just teeny bit of self-determination, go for it, and you got it. Mine came when I was in the 6th grade. I knew then that I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
Because Mama tell me about me teaching them dogs, and she said I was hard on them. I believe it. So, and just from then, I just been eager to do more, learn more, give back to the community. I love Jonesboro, born and raised, so I want to give our kids all that I can.
Okay.
And you find that within yourself that you want to give back to where you was bred, what was given to you, you can do it. So, and feel free to contact any of us to help you reach that goal, because we're here.
Yes. My husband has a phrase that he says quite often: if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Okay.
And so I would just say, I have another friend, Keisha. I believe she's coined the phrase, just do it afraid. Do it anyway. Just do it afraid. You can do it. We're proof that you can do it. And we're not the only ones in this community that are doing great things in the city of Jonesboro. So we just admonish everyone, find your niche. Find what you want to do and go for it.
Okay. We have 2 more Facebook shout-outs, and I'll let Dr. Flanagan wrap us up. From Amanda Turner. Great conversation this morning. Thankful for these 2 ladies. I've been blessed by both of them. Thank you for daily representing JPS the way you do. Shout out to Ms. Kayla Davis. And Chanel Scale says, I love these 3 amazing people. I want to thank them for being in my son Adrian's life. I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Flanagan for taking care of my son. I really do appreciate him. Oh, okay, y'all can start.
Thanks, y'all.
Don't make me mess up my mascara.
Amen. All right.
All right, so we're going to let Dr. Flanagan take us out here in this last minute or 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, so just say, success is relative. It's whatever you decide it is, and so you shoot for that. Honor is honoring the people whose backs and shoulders that you stand on to have you where you are. Imagine the unimaginable,
Okay.
and then purpose-driven life. And so that's SHIMP, ship.
Okay.
Captain your own ship. Don't let anybody guide your ship. So whatever happens in your life, make sure your ship is going in the direction that you want it to go. Everybody will tell you what to do and how to do it, and the most people that do that have never done it. And so I say I speak often, and that ship principle is something that God gave me to give the people.
Well, I watched the video yesterday, and some people might dismiss the message because of who the person was that was giving it, but this young lady had a very similar message to what you said. She's like, once you realize who you are and realize, okay, she used the reference of a car. Don't think of yourself as the car. Otherwise, you let other people drive you to where they want to take you, but realize who you are within, and then you can guide yourself to where you want to go and not be influenced by other people. I'm paraphrasing what she said, but that's the bottom line. Once you realize who you are, then you are in control, and other people can't just guide you wherever they want to take you. I love reading quotes. I want to read one more quote. You are the designer of your destiny. You are the author of your story. And that's by Lisa Nichols. And there are so many more quotes. So I just want to encourage everyone, find out, dig deep inside, self-reflect, like Ms. Carla said. Figure out who you are, and do not allow the voices of others who don't matter get into your head and cloud your thinking. We'll have one more shout out, and this is from Lagenzi. He lives in the other room. And thank you, Keisha. So proud of you, Kabila. Lagenzi says, I was scared to death when I started the station. I was literally shaking when I first announced KLK was coming, but I pushed forward. Lagenzi and I have had lots of conversation about the radio station getting started, and it took people believing in him to get a business loan to even get the final steps going. So it's people don't understand the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into putting the station together, and we're doing everything we can to keep it on air. So we really appreciate everybody's support. When we say we appreciate your support, it's not just words. It's like true to heart. I love each and every person that comes on this show. I wouldn't have a show without people like you. So thank you all.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. All right. So what are some of your plans going into the next year? You're going to have some bright students ready for their minds to be molded. Do you have a few students that you feel like you need to work a little bit more on?
I mean, it's 1,300 students in my school. There's several that need molding.
Yeah.
I will say this, if you don't mind, we need, Dr. Shannon Lewis is our executive principal at the high school, and that's a historic thing in and of itself. I'm so proud to be able to work for and with him and what we try to do at Jonesboro High School. But we need advocates in the community. We need people to show up. I know Dr. Greer is saying the same thing. And your principal saying the same thing. We need people in the community that are reflective of the demographics of the students that we deal with. There are enough retired educators and other people who have time. And I'm telling you, if you just spent 30 minutes to an hour once a week,
it makes a difference.
You would make a difference in the lives of the students that we deal with. Because again, there's assumption that there's some students who weren't excited about Christmas break because they did not have guaranteed meals through those 2 weeks that we're out of school. Monday through Friday, they know they got 2 meals that are guaranteed, and that's shelter and that's safety. And so I just want to throw that out there. We can use all the help we can get.
It's very true.
I'm going to throw a call to action out there to all those that say you love the community.
Amen.
It's time to start stepping up and doing more. It's enough of us here in this community to take care of each person in the community. No one should feel like they don't know where they're going to get their next meal from. No one should be sleeping in the cold. No one should be without basic necessities. Yes. I'm hoping to see more happen in the community of Jonesboro, Craig County in the upcoming year. So I pray that everyone finds it within themselves to help the next person. Do something for someone who can't do anything for you, and spread it. I always try to say, like when I'm doing Instagram posts or whatever, it doesn't cost anything to be kind. So be kind to your fellow man, woman.
Absolutely.
All right, so this has been your Wednesday edition of Community Conversations. Join us tomorrow. We will have another full panel of guests. It's going to be, we're going to be talking about collective work and responsibility. So that's going to be a really great show. So tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m. right here. Thank you everybody for tuning in and watching and all of your comments. Thank you. I hope everyone has a blessed day.